Frederick wants to know, do you have any wrestling memorabilia like Conrad? I mean, we see that beautiful portrait behind you from Bash at the Beach 1996. We see your Hall of Fame plaque. Did you hang on to anything else special from your wrestling career, Eric?
Yeah, right behind me here. This is no, it doesn't show up here. I may have showed you this before.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool.
This was done. I was with Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali and I were standing outside at an event in Pyongyang, North Korea. It was an outdoor event, a ceremony. And it was, I don't want to say a street festival, but there were North Korean version of vendors out there showing crafts, basically, is what they were doing. It was a big event, a big celebrity event or high profile event. So anyway, we were all there, and there was a little guy, he was sitting on the ground, and I saw him tapping on, this is slate. This is a hard plate. So this little guy's tapping on the slate. He's got a little like nail in his hand. He's tapping, and I'm watching, and he's making a picture. He's looking at somebody like you see a sketch artist, only he's doing it with a hammer, like that. And he did it so fast. It was fascinating to me. And Muhammad and I were both standing there watching this, and then he motioned us over, and he did this, and Muhammad gave it to me. So, yeah, that.
Check it out, man. What a cool little collectible that is. Raw Vito wants to know, if you could have one do-over in your WCW tenure, what would it be? The finger poke of doom, watering down the NWO with either new members or the Wolfpack, the botched Sting storyline, he called it Starrcade 98, but I think he means 97, the handling of Bret Hart, or not giving the cruiserweights more spotlight?
Well, that was just dumb. Not giving the cruiserweights more spotlight. All right. What were they again? Real quick.
Finger. There you go. Right.
Oh no, I gotta get that Starrcade thing off my record. I just can't. I just don't want to have any more conversations about it for no other reason. Not that it was the biggest mistake I've ever made, or the situation that I should have handled better. But it's the one that comes back to haunt me. Like, I don't give a fuck about the finger poke of doom. Anybody that brings that up doesn't know what they're talking about, so their time or anything they say doesn't matter to me. That one's just an automatic, you're an idiot, whenever I hear that one. But the Sting storyline, I think I could have handled that better. I mean, I think if I would have known then what I know now, not so much know, if I would have had the maturity then that I do now, and the way of approaching things than the way I do now, I think I could have fixed that. And that's the one I'd like to have back, just so I don't have to hear about it again.
Hypothetically, would that Sting storyline have also coincided with the end of the NWO? Like, as awesome as the NWO storyline is, I mean, even our SaveWithEric.com graphic that we see in the corner, I mean, it's NWO inspired. NWO merch is still flying off the shelves for WWE. I'm just wondering, do you think that would those go together? The Sting storyline and the end of the NWO, or would that be a totally different thing?
No, it wouldn't have been the end of, even going into that day when everybody that arrived at the event that morning, were all, including me, were all under the assumption that we were going to have a clean finish. Hogan, Sting, WCW gets their comeback. Clean, no bullshit. That was the plan going in. Now, on the NWO side of that, they were going to crumble so that they could resurrect over a period of time. And you would have had infighting within that faction. And, that's how we would have thinned the herd or built up the herd, whatever the case may be. But it would have been an arc, and it would have been a roller coaster. And the roller coaster should have been, NWO, they're dominating. And then WCW finally pulls one out, and boom, they make their comeback, and NWO takes a big hit. And they slowly build themselves back up again, kind of like Alabama football after Oklahoma last week. They slowly build themselves back up, and boom, they're back on top, and you got a war again. That was the original plan, basically.
Brad has an interesting idea, and before you shut it down all the way, Let me flower it up a little bit.
Yeah.
At the height of the Monday Night War, when WCW was beating the WWE by a mile, had Vince McMahon called you up and asked to put on a show together, do you think you would have taken his phone call and seriously entertained the idea? As a fan at the time, we always talked about who would face who in a super show and who would come out on top. I know that makes it challenging because how do you decide who wins or loses, Eric? So let me pivot a little bit and make the story or the question a little more possible, maybe. What if it was almost like one of those, memorial shows, sadly, that we had for Brian Hildebrand and Brian Pillman, where you would see WCW is going to present a match and then WWE is going to present a match, and then WCW is going to present a match and then WWE is going to present a match. But the main event, maybe that's like Undertaker versus Sting. Maybe that's like Goldberg versus Steve Austin. And the main event, well, it's a draw, it's a DQ, it's a count out, it's a schmoz finish. So if it's not like, hey, we beat WWE or we lost to WWE, instead it was a series of matches. We're mixing and working together with the commentators. So WCW commentators are calling WCW matches and vice versa. But then in the main event, we get this dream match, but there's not a clear winner. I know that, clean finishes are important, but it still would have been a cool one-off opportunity. Could it have worked? Would you have shut it down? Why or why not?
I would have definitely, I would have taken the call for sure. I would have been excited to explore the opportunity, and I would have been open-minded to the extent that if there was an ongoing plan, if there was an agreement in place so that this was one of maybe 2 or 3 a year or something along those lines, so that there was an ongoing relationship, that would then make it a lot easier to compromise, I guess, for lack of a better term, creatively. So easily said, if Vince wanted Undertaker to beat Sting, that's a lot easier for me to make a decision about if I know what's coming up next or where Sting's opportunity is next. Doesn't have to be with Undertaker, but we want to get Sting back where he needs to be. So how do we do that together? If it was possible to have those types of conversations, I'd have been the biggest cheerleader. Here's the reality. If there's no way that was ever going to happen. Vince McMahon has never played well with others, was never going to play well with others. And I knew that even back in 1996 or 1997, when it was either Vince McMahon's idea or Harvey Schiller's idea to have a meeting and discuss that very thing. And when Harvey brought it back to me, because I didn't know about the meeting before it happened, I went, well, that's stupid. That'll never work. And he went, yeah, you're right. I said, like, could have saved you a trip.
Richard Dobbs wants to know, are the rumors true that WCW tried to sign The Undertaker? If so, how much money were you and the company going to spend to get him to sign? I never heard that rumor.
I've heard it a million times, and the question asked a bunch. I've never had one syllable of a conversation with Undertaker or any of his representatives until the day I showed up as a surprise GM in Newark, New Jersey, when I was working for WWE. I never had a conversation. I never had a conversation about bringing The Undertaker in. So I don't know where that kind of rumor got started.